and welcome to another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast. I am your host, FOXANNE.
And I'm your host, Laura, and this is a podcast for creatives by creatives.
This podcast is a mix of realness and feel-good vibes from your two new northern besties.
So today's episode, we're joined by a very, very special guest. Sophie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Sophie. I am a conceptual designer slash small business owner slash photographer slash probably something else that I've forgotten.
Bit of everything.
She's amazing, as you can see.
Thanks.
So do you want to sort of explain how we all met? So you met Roxanne first, didn't you?
I did, yes. So very similar to how you guys met. Roxanne just loves an Instagram bestie, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
Meet all your pals through Instagram.
I do.
Yeah, I probably slid into your DMs, probably reacted to a story, I don't know. I feel like our first conversation was actually bonding about the dust in our MacBooks.
Yes, I was looking back at this actually. So I put up a story and I was saying about how Illustrator quit and I lost all my work because it didn't do the recovered file. Do you know how it usually does the AI recovered file? And then
Heartbreak.
Sophie's like, this made me immediately save my work, I feel for you. And then we were speaking about having a MacBook and then she sent me a picture of her, do you know the new MacBooks where they've got like the touch bar?
Yeah.
Sophie's were broken and I was like, oh my god, I hope mine doesn't. And then I says, also, I'm glad it's not just me that has a 3-course meal in the gap of a laptop. Because as she said it, she didn't crop out like the bit where it's just got loads of crumbs. And I think that set the precedent for our relationship.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And then we
just went on a little date to Spoons, didn't we?
To Spoons.
Yeah.
We did.
Nice.
We did a bit of a Spoons crawl. Do you remember when we'd already had a drink and then the second round we got ID'd? And I didn't have my ID on me. Bear in mind, I'd not ordered another drink.
You did not order another alcoholic drink. You had one before, though.
But yeah, they'd already served me. And then the second round, they were just like, can I see your ID? And I was like, oh, I forgot it. And they're like, well, I can't serve you any more drinks. And I was like, okay.
I was like, yeah, but we've already had one. Yeah, well, I can't do it now. And I was like, all right, well, if she is over the age of 18, but
24.
also you've already served her alcohol. They was like, yeah, we can't. And we was like, fine, fair enough. And then we went to another Spoons and then we got served there. We was like, yeah, we'll just go here.
Oh, that's how you ended up on a bit of a Spoons crawl.
Spoons crawl, yeah. We were just, I don't know, we were just chatting about life, weren't we? As I do with everybody.
Sounds as well like you guys, like it just got very deep very quickly and they were like, right, yeah.
Maybe it's me.
Maybe it's you, yeah.
Yeah, the common denominator here is you being an oversharer.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm definitely an oversharer. Are you naturally an oversharer?
Yeah.
Well, there you go then. It's a match made in heaven, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
That's it. I find people who want to overshare. And I think it's hard to make friends when you're older because you don't really like when you make friends in school, you have something in common, like school, and then we like work with them. So you have to try and find something. And I think we kind of got that awkwardness out of the way.
Straight away.
Just kind of like, right, yeah. So now I know you a lot more than what I would know someone who I work with because it was that kind of environment. It weren't like a forced conversation about it. It was like, I think it did start off surface level and then somebody walked past or something happened, like made like a self-deprecating joke and you was like, oh, okay, this is
how it's going.
This is how it's going.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I love it.
And then I spoke about it on a couple of podcasts ago about going out for my birthday and I invited my 3 friends because I have like one friend in like different aspects of my life. I invited them all together and then that's how you two met.
Yeah, and we had a great conversation. Well, quite a few great conversations because we were like on that side of the table, and we went to Slug and Lettuce, and then it turned into a club at like 8 o'clock at night.
I didn't want that. I just wanted food.
I couldn't hear you and Shelby. So we were just like shouting into each other's ears on the other side.
And then we kind of came out afterwards and was like, have you two had a nice conversation? Because I had no idea we haven't spoken to each other.
We were all like proper grandmas, weren't we? As soon as it turned into a club, we were like, oh no, get me home.
Yeah, then we tried to find a few quiet bars and there wasn't really any, so we just went home.
Yeah.
We just sat in that weird like shop / cafe
food hall thing.
I
thought
for a little
it was going to
bit.
be really busy.
That was going to close in 5 minutes.
2 people in there, but yeah, no, it was nice.
It was
nice that you two met as well.
Yeah, and
nice.
Do you know what as well? I feel like you're the perfect guest to have on first, because I was saying to Roxanne, we had such great conversation about like what you're doing, like your side hustle, about your job. So much to talk about. So I think it's going to be a good episode.
And also, yeah, because you are quite close to us, that if this is a little bit sketchy, I don't mind. Like, you're our guinea pig. We're testing out having a guest with you.
Thanks.
You won't judge us.
I love being a guinea pig.
So you mentioned that you're a bit of a different trade. Not different trades. You're a bit of a. You've got your finger in different pots. That's not the word. What am I supposed to say?
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. That's what I wanted to say.
I think it's fingers in pies, right?
Fingers in pies, yeah, not fingers in pots. Although I do paint pots.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. So I would like to know, how did your design career start? I want to know from the beginning what happened.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try and summarise as best I can, because I feel like my journey into the industry / every side hustle under the sun I've discovered is a long one. But yeah, I've always been interested in art from a young age. You know, everyone says that, but it's true. Like my GCSEs, they were performing arts, art and media studies.
So they were all...
You couldn't get more creative if I tried. I was actually lucky because when I chose my GCSEs, you didn't have to pick like a history or geography or a language.
A boring one.
Yeah, I just like kind of scooted over that.
I was the same. I think I did the same.
Yeah, and then for my A-levels I did English, Maths, Dance and Art, which is a combo.
An eclectic.
But I always knew I wanted to do something creative. I found graphic design through work experience actually. Knew nothing about it really. Applied to 5 different unis, whatever you have to do. And it was actually because my art teacher kind of said to me, just like, oh no, you won't last a year doing that.
Really?
I was just like, oh yeah.
Rude.
Oh yeah, you're just like, oh yeah, maybe you'll try out for a year and then you'll kind of go crawling back to fine art. And I was just like, I'll show you.
So that was the motivation that you needed.
A little bit, yeah.
Spurred you on.
Yeah, a little bit. It was a bit mad. But I went to these graphic design interviews and obviously my whole portfolio was fine art. And rightly or wrongly, my then, well, what was to become my lecturer said to me, you don't know what you want. You've come into a graphic design interview with a fine art portfolio. What's going on here? And at the time I was like, I don't know. But then I actually remembered that I'd not shown in my memory stick full of like, you know, posters and business cards and actual like graphic design stuff. And that's what changed his mind to be like, oh,
that looks good.
Like he literally said, this changes everything. And then said, I'll see you in September. And I was like, oh,
wow.
Maybe I'm moving to Manchester. So I've not mentioned, but I'm actually from Wolverhampton, but I grew up in Wales, which is why my accent is questionable.
I think it's a very lovely accent.
Oh, that's the first thing I said. I was like, can I ask, what, where are you from?
What's going on?
I was like, your accent, like, there were certain words that she'll say, and I'd be like, that's different.
Yeah.
But then it won't go with the rest of the sentence. And she was like, well, and then that's when you told me about that, about where you're from. And
I think I also pick up, like every person I've ever spoke to, I think I pick up a little bit of their accent. And like, my best friend's from Hull, so I lived with her for a long time. So then I picked up her accent on certain words, which is quite hilarious as a mix. But anyway, my story. So I did graphic design for 3 years. And I really love the course, to be fair. I know there's sometimes with a graphic design course, depending on where you go, you either love it or hate it. And what I learned about doing a graphic design course is that you need to throw yourself into it. And it turned out to be an advantage for me that I'd never done graphic design before.
Right.
Because I went in first year and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to use Illustrator and InDesign. And I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
Because I'd only ever used Photoshop. Like, that was the only Adobe program I knew of. And I was like, oh, God. But that was the spurring thing that I was just like, right, I need to learn everything about these programs. Obviously, I don't know everything because that would be impossible.
Well, I feel like we'll never know everything, will we?
No. There's always, like, sneaky little tools in there. I see reels all the time. It's like, did you know you could do this in Illustrator? I was like, what?
Yeah?
Where have you been? But I just threw myself in first year, and my philosophy was more, if I haven't done it yet, more reason to try.
I love that. That's so nice.
I think that's what didn't hold me back in that course. And when it got to second year, we were given the option, you either do communication design, which is more of your like standard graphic design, or focus on illustration or focus on motion. And I was like, okay, which one out of those three do I know the least about? Motion.
And that's how you chose
That's
it.
what I went into. So I specialised in motion for all of second year, just because why not? You're in this environment, you might as well. And then the same in third year, I was just like, okay, what haven't I tried yet? So then that's when I did stuff with like the laser cutter and screen printing and...
Oh my God, I love a laser cutter.
Me too.
I love it.
Yeah, so story behind when I used the laser cutter. So I was also in the dance society.
Yeah.
And in third year, I was the choreographer. So on the side of uni, we were putting on like 2 massive shows. So as part of my final major project in third year, I was like, well, I'm going to have to do all the branding for this show anyway. I might as well include it as part of my graphic design project. Yeah, so it was great because our first show was called The Book of Legends, and it was all about like, you know, legendary artists, and we choreographed dances to them. So I did all of the tickets as bookmarks. And I used the laser cutter to kind of like carve in this illustration that I'd done, but I got to do it all for free because it was all through uni. So it was great.
Love it.
Love that.
Little hack. But yeah, finished uni, got a first.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
We love to see it.
Yes. No,
Yes, queen.
it was great. I did a little twirl on stage on graduation.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was just like,
love
this is my moment. You know, I'm never going to get to do this again unless I
She
decide
sent me
to
a
do
video of it,
masters.
and I was like, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
It's hilarious because one of my friends recorded it, and you can just hear her go, "Oh, Soph." But she was not surprised. It was just really funny. So after that, I actually decided, I was like, there's so much pressure really to finish your degree and go, right now you've got to get a job. You've got to get a job in the industry, or else what's the point? Like, what have you worked 3 years for if you don't go straight in?
This is why you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't think like that. I was like, you know what? I have worked for 3 years. I'm tired. I need a break. I don't want to go straight into the industry and be done with it. And at the time, I was working at the Lowry Theatre doing like conferences and weddings, you know, polishing cutlery. And I was like, I'm just going to chill here for a bit and see what I want to do.
I really like that. Do you know what I'm discovering through this? That you think outside the box.
Yeah.
You're like outside, you don't care. You're just like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So, and also I've noticed that you're always busy.
Oh, yeah.
You've always got a lot on.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
Designer bags. No.
Yeah, my eye bags are Chanel.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just like, well, I'm just going to chill in hospitality for a bit and actually see what I want to do rather than rush to the next best thing. That's when I got a place on this course, which is called School of Thought. And it's basically a 10-week intensive advertising course about conceptual thinking. So every week you would go to a different advertising agency and you get a brief on the Monday, and then you go home, think about it, come up with your ideas, and then on the Thursday you go back to that agency and present.
Yeah.
Repeat for 10 weeks.
That's so cool.
I mean, I describe it as the best thing that ever caused a breakdown because it was intense. It was hard.
Really?
Yeah, and I got the reputation for just coming up with loads of ideas. I would, without fail, present 3 each week, whereas like most people would present 1, maybe 2. I was just like, no, my mentor now, a very good friend, she did it, and she's one of the reasons I got onto the course. And she was like, no, go in with 3 because then you get the most feedback, you get the most of the time.
Yeah.
And you remembered as well, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. Definitely remembered.
Yeah, and it was a fabulous experience, but I would not do it again.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, I couldn't do it again. It was too mentally straining, but I recommend it to anyone to try and get onto it. From that, one of the weeks was actually at my old agency, And I remember the lady from HR kind of saying as a blanket statement, like, if anyone's interested in any opportunities, just send me an email. So I was just like, oh, well, might as well give it a go. And nothing. No reply, nothing. Didn't hear from her until 3 months later. And what's important to kind of note here is me and my little arrogant thinking outside the box self had the slogan, I don't apply for jobs, jobs apply for me.
I love that. Do you know what that's like? That's a bit like what's it called? The thing where manifestation. You're manifesting it. Like,
Yeah.
you're not chasing it.
Me and the universe have a deal, I think.
I think this is what I'm discovering. You really do have a deal.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I kept saying it. I was just like, I don't apply for jobs, jobs apply for me. And that's how I would just think. And I, like, with manifestation, I believed it. And I was just like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think as well, that's why I was so chill, just kind of carrying on in hospitality. Because I'm like, jobs apply for me.
Whatever's going to happen.
I don't want to be a dampener, but I mean, in normal circumstances, not whatever deal you've got going on with the universe, but that isn't always the case. You do have to work hard for jobs. You do have to apply for jobs.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Like I have done that since. I'll get onto that. Yeah. But yeah, please take this. This is my experience. This is not everyone's experience. Yeah. But yeah, 3 months later, I got a call from that same lady that I emailed, and she wanted to tell me about this different job opportunity that they got, and it wasn't a design role or an art director role. It wasn't any of that. I mean, I did the job for 2 years and I still don't know what it was. But it was good. I learned a hell of a lot. It was an internal role, and it was a bit of everything, but it definitely helped me get to where I am now. Yeah. And what happened with that role is I was still in it when the pandemic happened. that little thing in 2020.
Did you just work from home or did you get furlough?
So, both. I mean, this is still a long story, but it started when we went into lockdown in March.
Yeah.
We all got sent to work from home pretty much straight away. It was like, oh, Tuesday, let's do a trial working from home day. And then by Tuesday afternoon, they were just like, no, we're all working from home. Don't come back in. And we're like,
so you didn't even get to say goodbye?
Well, not really. I mean, you just message them on Teams.
See you on Wednesday. Just a trial and Tuesday. Oh, see you next year.
Yeah, well, at the time, we only thought it was 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I remember, so this happened in March, and I remember one guy said, I don't think we'll be back until May, you know? And I was like, May? May 2020? And it was just like, wow, okay, yeah, January 2022.
God,
and we're
2
still...
years later.
I feel like some people have only just really gone back to work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So I was working from home for like 2 or 3 months, I think, and I was busy. Mm-hmm. So I didn't think at all I was going to get furloughed until I did at the end of May. And honestly, highlight of my career. Loved
Being
it.
furloughed?
Yeah, loved it. Every second.
I think I'd like to be furloughed. See, we haven't really experienced that because we kind of had to keep working and we couldn't get universal credit or anything.
Yeah, because I didn't have a brick, because I didn't have enough books behind me, because I was only doing it for maybe like less than a year.
Right.
Yeah.
And then because I didn't have a brick and mortar shop, I weren't entitled to anything.
So we had to keep slogging away. But I'm very jealous that you got a furlough. I would have loved it. Yeah.
It was very good, and my company were very generous because they did keep it at the 100% pay rather than take it down to the 80.
Who did get furloughed, but then also they got next to nothing.
Like 80% was the furlough. Yeah,
it was hard. It was hard for a lot of people who got furloughed.
I mean, 80% sounds like quite a lot for not working, but
it's
it
not
doesn't
when you're
cover
only,
everything.
No, it's not when you're only covering stuff every month anyway with your wage, and then for 20% to be taken out, it's like, right, well now,
what am I going to do?
Because I was already scraping to like get by,
and that's where I feel like a lot of people ended up doing side hustles.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into your side hustle? Is this when you started it, when you were in furlough?
Yeah. So as we've discovered, I like to be busy.
Yeah.
As soon as I got off that call with my manager to say I was furloughed, I remember saying, right, let's start a side hustle.
Love it.
Like, it was literally that simple. At that point, I didn't know what it would be or anything. But at that time, it actually started for my sister's birthday, and I call it a gift for the ungiftable because she has everything that you
Right.
need. So that's when I painted her a canvas, because she does pole fitness, so it was like an abstract canvas of a lady on a pole looking fabulous. And after I'd done that, like she loved it. It's up in her living room now, I think. But that's when I started doing canvases. So it never started with the pots. It started with canvases, and I did like a Beauty and the Beast one, and I did a Freddie Mercury one, and like one by one, like little friends of groups or friends of friends would kind of order one, and that's where Fabstract started. It was canvases, and I remember writing loads of names down. I was like, oh, what can I call it? And I kept coming back to Fabstract because it just felt right and it felt like me.
It's a really great name.
I love it. I think
Thank
it's
you.
great. I think you're an absolute genius with stuff like that.
Well, it was funny as well, because when I started actually posting it to my personal Facebook, I'd get messages like, that is so you. Like, that just makes sense. And I was like, oh, thanks.
Now that I've met you as well, I do feel like it really is as well.
Fabstract is me. The same way like FOXANNE is you. Like, it felt...
fits. It
feels
Yeah.
fits.
And obviously my name is just me.
I mean,
it really
yeah,
is me.
It really
in
is
a literal
you.
sense.
Legally, it is you.
Yeah. Every part of you, that is your whole being.
Do you know, it was a different name actually. I was Smile at Style. I changed it. Yeah, because that was my I had like a fashion blog. It's Smile at Style, and then I changed.
You need to
Smile at
stop
Style
putting yourself down
Illustration.
for that. Whenever she brings up a blog, she was like, "Oh, I did this like a fashion blog," as if it was like,
I
don't know,
love
as
that.
if you put it down. I love that about you. I think it's just because
It's weird now. It was very me. It was like that was me, but now
you
I'm
are
like,
very like fashion-y and
kinda. I don't know.
I think you are.
Thanks.
Look at this.
I know. Look at the
at your
ensemble.
outfit
I
today.
bought this yesterday, so I was like, I'm wearing that tomorrow on the
New
podcast.
clothes.
Yeah, new clothes.
Do you feel that though, when you buy new clothes, you just have to like the next opportunity you have to
I'll
wear?
wear that.
I
wear
haven't
the
even
same
ironed these
outfit.
trousers.
Yeah, I wear the same. Whenever I buy new clothes, I wear the same outfit for like 3 months afterwards until
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, okay, now what?
Yeah, you know I'm going to be wearing this tomorrow as
Yeah.
well, for sure. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Smile at Style, but yeah, I never mentioned that in the first podcast. I don't know why. Smile at Style. That's where that name came
I
from.
want to follow it. Is it still alive?
Oh no, I've deleted it now. It's a bit
You're still
cringe.
friends with all your blogger friends, though, aren't you?
Yeah,
Which is good.
yeah.
Keeps
that's
in
good.
contact with them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, so
You've evolved. That's
I
what's
have.
happened.
I've evolved. Let's not make this about me. Right, Fabstract, amazing. Because I feel like you're very fab as well. Do
Thank you.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think of you and I think she's fab.
Yeah, I love that. And it kind of became this, like, I call it the punderful world of Fabstract, because all of
She's so good with the words. I
you know what
can't
it is?
express this
Yeah.
enough. When you speak to Soph, it's kind of like she just has this brain that I can't fathom how it works. Like, she just, like, her marketing and her advertising brain and these words that she strings together, it just sounds so, like, professional and dead, like, I don't know, it just fits. And I'm like, there's me, like, struggling to get a sentence together, and she's like, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, teach me more.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's really
You do
nice.
like concept stuff.
I love it. I love ideas.
Yeah.
And I love bringing something to life. I think that's it with marketing. I'm just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if? And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. And I can do it now.
I might have
Yeah.
to lend your ear on some things for me because I'm struggling at the minute.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'll FaceTime you and
Okay.
I'll buy you some food or something.
Yeah, give me
Excellent.
ideas.
Cheers.
But yeah, so Fabstract started with the canvases, and then I think I was just scrolling through Instagram, you know, trying to build up the account and follow different people, getting different inspiration. And I just started seeing, I think it was when everyone was in lockdown and just started buying plants. And
We
there was
really did, didn't
Yeah.
we? Plant crazy.
it was a big like plant bomb movement, I think.
Yeah.
was.
Whereas for me, I killed them. So I knew that wasn't going to be
your thing.
my thing. But I also wanted to try and be on board. But I was seeing everyone, like a lot of people painting pots and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Because I used to do a lot of, like, I used to go to this little place in Wales where they did like painting pottery and stuff. And I would sit there for hours. Like my family would leave me and go around the rest of the craft centre and just leave me painting pots because I would have to get it right. Like I couldn't be rushed with it. And I'd just like, no, you go, I'll stay here. So I used to, like, I was mates with the people that owned it because I was like, oh, Sophie's here again. And I'd just literally sit in the back corner for about like 4 or 5 hours painting these pots while My family would just like go and sit in the cafe or something.
Isn't it so funny how like quite a lot of us in the creative industry end up doing what we did as kids and really loved as kids? Like, that's amazing.
It made me laugh when this kind of all blew up, because I was just like, imagine if I could start something like that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I'm really interested, like, how you went from the painting pot idea to, like, going miniature.
Yeah, so I saw a lot of stuff on Instagram, and kind of, as inspiration works, you pull together a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And it was actually when I was just scrolling on Amazon, looking at plant pots, I saw, like, oh, you can get 16 like 4-centimetre pots. I was like, that's adorable. And I was like, well, let's try and make something out of this. And then once I had them is when I started thinking of, oh, what could I do with them? And that's when it sparked the idea of hanging them in your car and then subsequently turning them into air fresheners with unkillable succulents, because they're fake.
Because they are fake.
Just so everyone knows, you can get them without the car freshener thing. I was doing it so it was empty to start with, so you could put your own plant in it. But the main thing is having it scented and with a fake plant, which is great because it looks cute. I have one in my car now.
It is so cute. When I get a car, I'm going to get one too.
Excellent.
One
Can't
day.
wait.
One day. Don't hold your breath.
But I also remember at the time when I bought those 16, I was like, how the hell am I going to sell 16? Like, that was just such an unfathomable.
Unfathomable
number in my head. I was just like, how the hell? So I already had a bit of business knowledge, because when I was 18 I started a photography business. So that came about for my 18th birthday. I was bought a camera, and I was like, oh well, in that summer before I went to uni, I just put it out, you know, on those like buy it, sell it, swap it groups.
Yeah.
I just wanted a little bit of experience in photo shoots, and I put out like a £20 family offer, have a family photo shoot for 20 quid. And I was like, you know what, if I make 20 quid, it's 20 quid more than I thought I'd get. And I got one family kind of like take me up on it. And I did that one and they absolutely loved it. And then they told their friends and they told their friends. And then before I knew it, I had like a little community of mums and families that would get me to do their photo shoots. So that was, I mean, talking about side hustles, I was always like already in the business of side hustles, because that happened. I kept that going all the way through uni.
You are busy.
Wow. Yeah. So in third year as well, I kind of became a little bit known doing all of the drama students' headshots.
Oh, I love that.
Because obviously I was a lot cheaper than going to get like proper professional ones. Yeah. But because I wasn't a shit photographer, they were pretty decent, and like the lecturers of the drama course was just like, oh, who did these? Like, everyone should go to her.
Yeah.
So even the drama teacher was just like, oh no, everyone go to Sophie and get your headshots done.
How much were you charging for those at that point? Was it just like a little bit of your time? Or?
I think it was about 30 quid.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lot for headshots.
No. But how many people did you do? That must have been a lot.
I mean, it wasn't loads and loads because it was, I don't know actually.
Well, either way, it's still like a nice side, and especially as a student.
Yeah,
That's
well,
really
it was about
good.
30 quid, and I'd deliver about 5 edited photos. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a massive trade-off for time for me. Obviously, it was the photo shoot that would take about half an hour, and then I'd give them between 5 and 10 photos maybe.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the editing side of it.
Yeah.
And it was at this point that I started doing weddings as well.
I didn't know you did wedding photography.
Yeah, I did a wedding on New Year's Eve, just gone.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
But you literally are a woman of many talents.
Yeah.
I can't get over this. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I got into weddings, and I do love it. But wedding photography is so different to any other style of photography, I think, and there's an added pressure to the fact that this is their day. This is their one day. If you mess up, you don't redo it.
No.
Yeah.
And it's all on you. And I think
that's the stress that I wouldn't be able to deal with. Be like, oh.
Yeah, and I've not done loads and loads of them.
I've done enough to know what I'm doing, obviously. But I think because I'm not a sole wedding photographer, I still get that imposter syndrome of just like, oh God, can I do this? Is this going to be okay? What if they all turn out blurry and I've messed up everything?
Yeah.
And like, of course, it's fine. Like, some of them are blurry, but that's the nature of photography.
Yeah, that's why you take loads and loads.
Yeah, that's why I took like 3,000. So you've got enough to choose from.
I'm sorry, I can't get over that. How many weddings have you done, would you say?
Maybe about 10 over the last 3 years.
That's so good.
So it's not like loads and loads and stuff, but when you take into consideration I do a lot of other stuff, it's not like I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do a wedding.
Oh, it's enough.
I'll sit on the arse for...
I feel like it's just so casual, like, oh, I'm just painting.
I do this and I do this.
I'm going to do a wedding tomorrow. Like, what? Like, so many. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it also fits in that I never wanted to be in that. You know, you said jack of all trades earlier, and it's like jack of all trades, master of none, that kind of thing. And I think at uni you're kind of told, perfect your craft, be that best thing. Choose what you want to do and be the best you can at it.
Yeah.
But that puts you in a box sometimes.
But the thing is though, I remember listening to, I can't remember where I listened to this, it might have been someone on TikTok, but it was like, they miss out the last end of that quote. So the full quote is actually, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
Yeah,
something along those lines. So it's implying that like everybody who knows a little bit of everything have like a better general knowledge for things rather than one person who knows a lot about one topic. I think I think that second half of it is always forgotten about because it's trying to imply being like a jack of all trades or master of none. It's kind of a little bit like a negative connotation of people who do a little bit of everything, which most people do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because if you only know one thing, like the world's always changing, technology's always changing, and some jobs don't exist anymore. So like if there's somebody that only has that one job and only knows that one thing to do, and that doesn't exist anymore because a robot's taken over or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, then what are they going to do? They've got nothing else. So I feel like it's really good to like have a few things spinning. Because like, what if one day...
That, what you were saying then, because the reason I went to the high school I went to was one of the teachers at the time said to my mum, I think in the induction, we're preparing these children for jobs that don't exist yet. And
I love that.
Yeah, I think that was like the little quote that sold her. Bless her. But it's true, like I learnt in uni, there is now someone's job title out there is emoji translator. That's a job title somewhere.
So what do they do with the emojis?
I translate them, I guess.
But to what? Like, I don't know. I mean,
I don't have the full job description, but I know it exists.
Yeah, I'll try and find one on LinkedIn and ask them what the job. Because that sounds really cool. Imagine you're on a first date and you say, "Oh, what's your job?" And they say, "I'm an emoji translator."
That's funny.
I marry you straight away. It's amazing that.
Sold.
Yeah, I get you to photograph the wedding.
Yeah, so I've not really had like a specialist niche in photography. Again, jack of all trades. But I've just had a go at everything basically. I've kind of settled into portrait photography and I've decided I love doing children's and family photography. But I actually went over to Camp America when I was 19, I think. Story on that was funny, kind of insight into me. I turned up to a Camp America interview, so they have all of these camps around the room and you just kind of go up to them, kind of say what you do, basically an interview. And I remember the camp that I ended up going to, it had a big sign above the table that said 21 plus. I walk up, ukulele in hand.
Oh my god, that is so Camp America.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a talent show with the kids when I was there. We did a ukulele version of I Like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie.
No, you didn't?
Yeah. Yeah, with 10-year-olds. It was hilarious. 10-year-olds.
That's such like Ross and Rachel energy.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Yeah, imagine. I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Oh my god, funny. You've got a voice of an angel. Oh god, is there anything this girl can't do?
No.
Yeah, sleep.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, so I rocked up to this interview And I remember I was chatting with one of the people that works there in the queue, and he was just like, oh yeah, great, go and speak to the guy. And at the end of the interview, I was just like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you come and do photography. And then they start filling out the forms, and I'm just like, oh, how old are you? And I said 18. And they're like, what? I was like, I'm 18, which, you know, that wasn't weird. You can be 18 and go. And they're like, did you not see the sign? The big 21 plus sign. I was like, I just thought you had 21 plus jobs available. And they were like, you know what? Fair play, come on then.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And it was funny as well, because the guy in the queue, he's like, if I would have asked you at your age in the queue, I'd have said don't bother going. But
really?
Because he hadn't asked me, and I'd just kind of rocked up, and they liked me. They were just like, yeah. But the reason was because they have kids there from the age of 6 to 16. They also have, once they're past 16, they can then stay on and be like the waiters and waitresses. But they basically didn't want the counsellors to be too close in age. They wanted there to be like a clear age gap.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just bypassed that rule apparently.
Wow. So you ended up teaching photography?
Yeah, so I was a specialist teacher doing photography. So I would teach 6 to 16-year-olds. You get a different timetable each day and you get different kids sign up. Had to find a way to trust 6-year-olds with DSLR cameras while they were running around a field.
Oh my God. Did you have any casualties?
Surprisingly not, but mentally many.
Physically no, mentally a lot.
Imagine, and what I used to do with them is, instead of like, some of them just picked it because they had to pick something, and photography was the one left, but other ones really got into it and loved it. So I'd have to tailor the different lessons to which of the kids that really love it and they want to learn Photoshop and editing, and which are the kids that just want to piss about. Yeah. So the ones that wanted
understandable, because the kids.
Oh yeah, and I ended up making it quite fun, because the ones that wanted to piss about, I just would make like a treasure hunt basically. And I was like, right, okay, it's competition now, and you have to go against each other. You've got 10 things on this list. Who can do it first? And this was when like the dab was in height of its, like, you know,
the dab,
the peak dab.
I forgot about that.
Was post planking, wasn't it?
Yes.
Dab was after planking. Do you remember planking?
Oh God, pain, ouch.
Oh, yeah. I could see random people lying on things, planking on things.
I just used to plank on the floor. The other thing I could do.
Yeah, so I remember one of the things I put on this treasure hunt was like, get 3 people to dab. So then you got all these little kids running around, and they're just like, dab, dab,
and then they take pictures of the dab. Ah, I love that.
So then they'd be running around, and then, you know, it was really fun. It was an experience that taught me a lot, because then after Camp America I got to go travelling and then do travel photography.
Wow.
So yeah, that was like an all-encompassing experience.
So you two were the same in that aspect. See, I haven't been on holiday since I was like 11.
Oh, 10, that pains me.
And it's just not something that, the thing is, like, I have a phobia of flying. I don't like planes, like being on public transport. Like, I don't know, it's anxiety inducing. And I said 2019, before COVID hit, I was like, this year, like, I'm gonna like go out and I'm gonna like fight my fears. I'm actually gonna get a passport, because I've not had a passport. My passport ran out when I was
you're gonna need it. Yeah.
The last holiday was the last holiday, and then like a year after it ran out. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it, and like I'll go, and it'll be amazing. And then since then, I'm like, do you know what? I don't know if I want to. I need to go somewhere close first on a plane, so maybe like Dublin or.
Oh yeah, go
like
to Dublin.
Yeah. But,
or you could even get like a flight to London or something, half an hour.
Yeah,
if you
need that's it. I just want to kind of work my way up. But that's what you two have in common, is the travelling. Because I'm like, I don't know what to say, because I don't travel anywhere.
I think once you've got on a plane on your own, your independence, like to me it felt like there's nothing I can't do now. Because I got on a plane in London and went to New York on my own. And I think once you've done that, it's like, okay, it's fine now.
That's amazing.
And the whole travelling experience, like, was my fondest memories come from that experience. And I think a lot of my personality is based around wanting to travel.
Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit, I really did love meeting people and having those experiences. And I saved a lot of money in the pandemic because I couldn't go anywhere. And
well, a lot of people did, didn't they? Yeah.
And that's
you had your
everything
side
I'd spend
hustle.
my money on.
Yeah.
And the side hustle.
So what I wanted to ask you about as well, so should we rewind a bit and go back to Fabstract? Because I feel like a lot of the people who have come to this podcast are going to be Fabstract customers and, you know, your biggest Fabstract fans. So you went viral, didn't you, on TikTok? Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, so it's one of those, you know, dream scenarios, I guess, of like overnight fame. But it was crazy because at the start, like I just started this Etsy page with the little air fresheners and I was like, oh well, you know, again, that mentality of if I sell one, it's more than I thought I'd sell.
Yeah.
And then a couple of my friends kind of bought them and were just like, oh yeah, this is really cute, I'm gonna get one. And I was probably making like one a week to start with.
Yeah.
So what happened was my sister commented on the small businesses video and they were doing like small business reviews. So my sister was just like, oh, you should check out Fabstract. And yeah, she just bought something and she was very good because she was just like, didn't expect anything for free. Like,
that's really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like she was like, if I'm gonna review it and I'm gonna have it, like I want to buy it and make a genuine review, which like you respect because you know, I made her like an extra keyring and stuff like that as a thank you for doing it. But
that was on your terms.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to do that. There was no extra expectation. And I remember that night quite clearly actually because I started getting loads of notifications on Etsy that people had favorited my shop. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Yeah, I thought I'd been put on like the Etsy homepage or something like that. I was like, oh, this is fun. And what's good to know at this point is that I think I put out maybe 2 TikTok videos. I had 20 followers. I wasn't even signed in on my phone.
Oh.
So
you didn't know?
No, I didn't get a notification to start with that a video had even gone up.
Yeah.
I just started getting all of these Etsy favourites and then orders started coming through. And I think before I went to bed, I had 13 orders.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa.
And you're making one a week at this point?
Yeah, at this point, they were like, I was averaging one a week. I think I'd had 3 at one point and that freaked me out. And then this happened and I got 13 before I went to bed. And I'd logged into TikTok at this point and I saw the video. I was just like, oh my God, like she's reviewed it. And people are commenting. And
how many views did it have at this point?
So I think at this point it maybe got to about, say, 10k by the time I went to sleep.
That's really good. So quick.
So I think at that point she had about 250,000 followers. So this is the Quirky Dino. She's very good. Go and look
I've
at
heard
stuff.
of her.
Yeah, but like because my sister was obsessed with her stuff to start with, so that's how she kind of followed her and found her. And she's really lovely and is very committed to TikTok, which I commend because I can't do it.
I can't. I batched like a few videos and I'm like, oh yeah, one a day, and then I'm like 3 months later, oh.
yeah, me too. So yeah, it was actually the day after it went up that everything just went mad, and I think it kind of peaked at 1.5 million views, and it was mad. So then overnight I got about 20,000 followers on TikTok and I think 6,000 on Instagram. And on Instagram the post before this all happened was my 500 follower giveaway.
And then, wow.
So then,
madness.
Like 6,000 people then came over, and then they were all like entering this competition. I was like, oh wow, this is huge, and it just kept going up and up and up, and I was freaking out a little bit because then I got orders, and what I kept doing was after every 20 orders, I'd add on a week dispatch, so they'd had to wait a longer time, but I was still like. The last batch of orders, I think they were like a 6-week waiting list. Yeah. But I kind of had to call it at some point because I was like, this is going to be impossible.
So how did everyone react when you were like, I've got too many orders, I need to I can't do this right away? Was everyone okay? Like the customers were alright?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of understood that it was a bit crazy, but I think they thought I'd be back next week.
Right.
It didn't come across as just like, you know, this is going to take me 6 weeks to complete. And at this point, I actually wasn't on furlough. So I've been taken back at my old job. I've gone back on a brand new team, brand new position.
Yeah.
Because context on that, the role I had beforehand basically didn't exist anymore. So they needed to relocate me.
Right.
So it was kind of dealing with starting a brand new team, loads of different work and experiences, as well as a video going viral. So I was working until 4 o'clock in the morning, most mornings. And then I go to bed for about 4 hours and then get up, do my work, finish, work on Fabstract, paint some pots.
Like, I feel tired just listening to it. Like, that sounds draining.
Yeah.
Especially because you've just been on furlough, having a nice time, and then BAM!
Yeah, as soon as I came back, it was just like, oh yeah, we're gonna do the viral video thing now, universe. Thanks a bunch.
Wow. But that's so good. It is good. That's really good.
It was craziness, and it's been lovely having the support now from people that saw that video back in 2020, and they're still here now, and like some of them, like, they're my mates now. I just catch up with them, and I'm just like, just because they've bought a pot and now they check in with them and like their stuff. And I think because I'm so invested in it, you see the people that come back, don't you? And you recognise names
and addresses and
and
it's so lovely, that, isn't it? When somebody comes back and buys something else, I'm like, oh yeah, like I almost want to give you like a huge hug, but I've never met you.
But I noticed people from like that first viral video that got one then, and they're still liking posts now. And there was a girl the other day that got something, and she was from Australia, and she was like, I've literally been following you for like 2 years, and or like however long I've been there, and it's like, I've been wanting one for so long, and now I've got it.
Yeah, because I feel like you're one thing to mention as well is you're very in demand for anyone that isn't very like aware of Fabstract just yet. Maybe they've not come across you, and this is the first time they're hearing about you. You sell out as soon as you bring stock out, don't you? Yeah. You can say it.
Humble. So the first time that I noticed that happen was when I was still doing all of the craziness, completing like 6 weeks worth of orders. Me being me and taking on more than I could manage was just like, well, I can't not do anything before Christmas. I can't just go stagnant, even though I know I'm working a lot behind the scenes. I didn't want to just leave it and then have nothing going on for people that have kind of followed. Because if you think, out of nowhere I got 6,000 followers, there was a lot of people that had messaged me asking like, oh, when's your next restock, when are you doing something? So I wanted to do something for Christmas, so I did Christmas baubles-esque. I did the same thing this year as well. I want it to be an annual thing because I really love them. I decided, right, I'm only doing this amount, and they'll be this price, and they'll go at this time. That's what's happening. And I made a big announcement about it. I was like, probably like, you know, these are going out 6 p.m. And by 6:01, they'd gone.
Goals.
That is amazing.
That is what we thrive for, isn't it? It's like, it's just incredible.
That was the first time that I was like, okay, this is bigger than I realise it is now. And it happened when I came back in January. I did a big thing. I was like, right, okay, we're back. Like, we're coming back. And I'd learnt from the time before in November. I was like, I can't just let it be a free-for-all again. I need a bit of a structure. So I decided I was going to come back and do weekly restocks, but there was only a certain amount. And at this point, we're still in lockdown. So if we remember, you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything. So my weekends were literally dedicated to Fabstract. All day Saturday, I would paint them. All day Sunday, I would turn them into air fresheners and make the hangers. Like, I had a bit of a structure. And each week, again, it would be 6:01 or like, you know, 6:02. Within
minutes.
Literally within minutes, they'd still go.
I love that for you. I
do.
Love that for you.
That is what we want to hear.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah.
It is. It's madness, and I think I still can't comprehend that that happened to me.
Yeah.
And that I actually did that, and I kept doing it. And I think I had to, when lockdown started to ease and you could have a bit of freedom again, I had to reevaluate it. And I'm like, I can't dedicate my whole weekends to this anymore, because I literally, it wasn't just work in the day, work in the evening, it was work all day on the weekends.
Yeah, you've not got any time for yourself, yeah.
No, and the guilt would seep in, that I felt like if I did anything that wasn't work, then that's not productive, because why would I do that because I would go outside, I'd literally be in Aldi thinking, I could be painting pots right now.
Yeah.
That's where it can get quite toxic, I think, and that's the capitalist world that we live in, where we think we're not worthy if we're not working. Grind, but you're not living your life.
Like toxic girl boss culture. The whole girl boss culture started from like a very positive outlook of being like we can do it as well. Like, we can do this. We can be the CEOs. We can be the owners of these businesses. This is amazing. Let's work. Now we're thriving to work, and it started getting more like, we need to work all the time. We need to hustle girl boss, hashtag girl boss, hashtag hustle, or hustle is the grind. And then we kind of lost the sense of having lives.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, well, if you're not working 24/7, then you're not working hard enough. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah. And
that's
for
not
me,
maintainable.
It's not.
You get burnt out and it's not maintainable at all.
I'd rather never work a day in my life than work 24/7.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who
obviously
dreams of
I think
labour?
we all would.
So like, I would not care what anyone thought. I'd be like, yeah, I'm enjoying myself. Obviously, I'd have to get money from somewhere. Lottery, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna manifest.
Yeah.
Just like you.
For me as well, the pressure never came from money, which is a thing to consider. I didn't go, oh, I really want to make a load of money, so I'm going to keep doing and keep putting more on.
Yeah.
I think it came from the pressure I put on myself from the demand.
For your customers as
Because,
well.
because I got the messages being like, oh, I really love your products and I'd like to get one.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I'll do more, because then you've got more chance of getting one.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a people-pleasing narrative, I guess.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing, that for me, the money was never the driver. And I think I get that question a lot, like, oh, well, like, oh, how much money did you make? Or I bet you made a load of money. Remember when it went viral, they were still on low prices. Like, I was not making a good margin at all.
Right.
And I was working all the time. Like, it's better now. It's still not, like, ridiculously, like, I'm not having, like, 90% profit at all. Because a lot of the money is my time.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they all take a really long time to make and craft.
I think that's what makes them so special, though. It really is.
Yeah, and I think I've had to learn to value that, and that people do value the fact that you've put time into it. Because I think at the start, as you do, you compare to yourself to stuff that's selling in shops. It's like, oh, well, that's a painted pot and that's only selling for £3. So maybe mine's £3.
A machine's probably making it.
Yeah.
10 every second.
Yeah, but you don't think about that when you're doing it. You think
Yeah.
like, oh, well, people only pay £3 for them, so they'll only pay that for mine.
Yeah.
Which is not the case, because I've learnt now that people will pay for it because they do respect you. And
Yeah, they value it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really
and that's
do.
the kind of customers you want as well.
So, we've spoken about this before. You have had a few run-ins with people stealing ideas when it comes to Fabstract. Do you want to talk about that? Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
Yeah, let's do it. So my experience with copying and stealing ideas, basically I came up with the Fabstract product. The original one is the hanging car freshener. After that TikTok video blew up, obviously the whole account blew up, got loads of followers overnight. The product was becoming more and more in demand, and it was more than I could fulfill, because I do everything, like like the whole painting the pots, turning them into air fresheners, making the string, the holder, the hanger. So yeah, everything takes quite a while, and it's all me. So that's why I couldn't do like massive restocks every time, because also working with a full-time job at the same time, I couldn't exactly, you know, I'm one person. Yeah. These people would kind of see the success on the outside and see that all of the restocks were selling out each week.
And there was a big demand.
Exactly. Yeah. The demand was there, and it was beyond my control. And I was, I was like, what the hell?
Obviously, we don't know for certain, but I'm pretty certain that you was the first one to do what you were doing.
Yeah. So that
in the style that you was doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what I did when I started this was I searched Etsy for it. I wanted to know if someone else was already doing it, if I was accidentally copying someone else.
Yeah.
And I know with all of my products, how I make them, I was the first one to do it. So what happened with the copying instances is I actually had a lot of my followers, because they're freaking great.
Yeah.
They would start messaging me being like, this person's just following me and they're doing something really similar to you. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Isn't that weird that they follow your customers as well?
That was the bit that got me more.
I think what the social media people call it is follower poaching or something like that. So what they'll do is they'll go on someone's account who's got the target demographic that you've got, and will just start following your followers. So then they will then unfollow the people who they followed, if that makes sense. So it's like a follow unfollow kind of thing.
Yeah.
Try and get it's supposed to be like a marketing thing, but I think Instagram have caught on to that now, where they don't like it if you follow too many people all at once.
Yeah. Well, that is exactly what happened, because I went onto these accounts and I went on their followers list, and every single person they followed, it said to me, follow back. So I knew that they were all...
So trying to steal your customers.
Yeah. So not only had they kind of stolen the product idea or took heavy inspiration from the product idea, they were then going through all of my followers and following them because they knew that the demand was there. And I get that it's like a social media technique that you do that, but obviously for me, as one person running this very small business, you can't help but take it as a personal attack.
I think it's very shady.
Yeah, and as well, they were kind of coming in at prices that I'd worked up to, and I was like, oh, you've got my idea, you've taken my followers, and now you're going straight in at the high margins that's taken me a long time to kind of build up the confidence to bring my prices up to. Because that was another thing. When I started, I was majorly undervaluing them and undervaluing the time it takes to create them, because for me it's I love painting, I've always loved painting, so it's just a little something that I enjoy doing. And
I think that comes in most creative things, because we've had this conversation before, where it's as an illustrator or a designer who does rebrands for businesses. When I first started, I was doing logos for 30 quid.
Yeah, me too.
Which is just ridiculous. And then, but that's why we've had the conversation about pricing before, which is obviously that's where everybody starts, because you're kind of oh, this is just my hobby, I shouldn't really be charging this. But what changed it for me is when it became my full-time job, and I was if I'm gonna be able to do this full-time and pay my bills, I need to up my prices. And then I started doing more I think that's it, it's the lack of research I did at the beginning when I was doing
most people do, because people feel like they can't, because it's fun. I can't charge a lot for it, and that's why a lot of customers as well and clients will look at us and think, I'm not paying that for that, because she enjoys it. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of
it's kind of fun. You're invalidating yourself, and also the people are always invalidating your craft and the thing that you've built up for. But something, I can't remember where I've seen something, probably on Instagram of course, and it was people don't pay for your time, they pay for your experience building up to it. There's so it's because I've had this conversation, going off a little bit on tangent, but I've had this conversation with other people who are getting into being graphic designers or illustrators and stuff, and it's should I pay by the hour or should I pay by the job? And I've said it all completely varies depending on what you're comfortable doing, but if you're charging by the hour, so for example, I charge anything, depending on the job, anything from £30 to £45 an hour, depending on what I'm doing and who I'm doing it for. There's but if I get better and it doesn't take me as long, does that mean that then devalues what I'm doing?
Yeah, and that's why Sophie, that's why you've built it up, because you've got more experience doing it and you're really confident in your craft. Whereas they've come in straight away and gone, oh well, she's charging £10, so I'm going to charge £10. Do you know what I mean? For example.
Yeah.
Very cheeky. Very cheeky.
It was, and I think to start with, I really did take it personally, because I was just like, you know that I can't, like, people want what I've made and you're just trying to piggyback off the back of it. And I get people get inspired by stuff, but there is a line between inspiration and
copying.
Yeah, like you've just straight up copied it.
Yeah.
But it's quite funny in the end, really, because those same accounts that did come out, they've since, like, I don't follow them, I don't engage. You know what, if you're making money, freaking go for it now. Like, you know what, there's room, there is genuinely room for everyone. And
but not if they're copying.
No,
completely.
but and also, like, show where you've got your inspiration from. Like, if they'd have literally gone like, oh yeah, Fabstract is my inspiration, that would have made a difference to me.
Yeah, and if, because I've seen who you're talking about, and you've shown me pictures before, and the thing is, it's like she was copying you directly. It was a replica of what you was making. Whereas for example, if you were to take the inspiration of the item itself and then being like, actually, but I want to do it in this style, or I want to create art that looks like this, or I'm gonna, instead of doing this bit, I'm gonna change it and tweak it and make it into this, and that's where you can kind of get, so it's kind of like, acknowledging that you've come up with the idea, but then being like, but I'm going to tweak it now to fit my...
Yeah, because I can't sit here and be ignorant and be like, I'm the first ever person who painted pots, I'm the first person to make a macrame hanger, because I'm not. No. I am well aware that I am not the first person to make a plant pot in a hanger, so to speak. But the actual nature of it being a painted plant pot car freshener thing, I'd not seen it before, and a lot of people that obviously follow me hadn't seen it before, and it's quite funny now that these accounts that did come out and that all happened with, the last that I saw of them, they kind of stopped now.
Well, they don't, because their heart's not in it. If you're only in it for the money and the clout, that your heart's not in it and you don't enjoy it like you do, they are gonna just
they
stop
didn't
doing
have
it.
Which is important when you come up with like a product like this, is it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of my energy and everything to make it. But because I love it and I know that I created it, it's my little baby, I do want to do it, and I'm really proud of the platform that I've built up. And when people just kind of see, oh yeah, that's making money, I'll just do that as well because that'll make me money. When you don't have the passion behind it,
it's never going to go anywhere.
You can't keep going. You can't go through the long nights and the tough times with it, because I've cried a lot over Fabstract. So if you're not prepared to go through that and kind of come out the other end, then you are just going to give up. And I think what was lovely about my customers is they kind of said to me, they're just like, no, I want it. I want your product and I want it from you, which kind of goes off on the topic of building your brand and kind of showing your face and people actually buying into you as a brand, rather than I just want a plant pot car freshener. It's like, no, I want a Fabstract car freshener.
That's so true, because I guess it's like, if you think about a Zara coat, for example, and then, I mean, I'm not saying do this, fast fashion, and then you see the exact same one on Shein. Is that how you say it, Shein?
Yeah.
People, because it's cheaper, I'll go, oh, I'll get that one. Yeah. Because they're not a brand with a person, if that makes sense. Like, it's just like a big conglomerate. Whereas with you, it's so personal and lovely, and you know that someone has made this with the heart and soul.
And the quality is there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've tried and tested different manufacturers for different things, and you've tried the ways of doing it and producing it and stuff, whereas
there's been a lot of fails.
They've come in and been like, oh, I'll just order it off eBay, or I'll do this, or I'll do that. And I think that's it. I think that's the difference between you and them, is
it's the heart that goes into it and the person behind it. You can't copy that. And as I said, there's room for everyone. If you want to make a product and a business, you go for it. Put your own spin on it. Bring your own personality to it. Yeah. Because that's what's going to make the difference, and that's what's going to sell. Because every single restock that I did last year sold out. And that's because I kept going with it. I mean, I say that now, and I've not posted in a month because I felt like I needed a break.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. It's January. Do you know what I mean? I mean, this is still quite in Feb, but January, a lot of people take a break, and I think you deserve it.
I needed it as well. Kind of coming off the back of that. If you think of that as an achievement, and I've started trying to take a step back and try and like be proud of stuff that you've done, because for me, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's sold out again. Whereas, like, no, it's sold out again.
Yeah, you've got to sort of like take it all in.
Yeah, and it's crazy that people all over the world now have things that I've made in my little spare room, and I think I need to pat myself on the back for that.
100%.
And it comes to the point of like, I do need a break because it was so full on, and that the whole of last year I had a full-time job, and then I also like was applying for other jobs, and I got a different job in an agency. So last year had a lot going on. So I think January I was just like, you know what, I need to just chill with it, see what I actually want for the next step, because I think Fabstract kind of became a little bit, I don't know if turning wheel is the right phrase.
You just became a cog in what Fabstract was.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was ever giving myself time to evolve it. And it was just like, people want plant pots, so I'm going to make plant pots. And I like, more people want them, so I need to make more. And I was putting all of this pressure on myself that was then taking the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Because as well, like, as I said, full-time job that isn't, if you work in agencies or the design industry in general, often 9 to 5 is not quite 9 to 5. So when that blends over, and then you've got your whole, like my days used to be wake up, work, finish work, Fabstract work, go to sleep,
do it all again,
repeat.
Wow. See, this is one thing that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
How the hell do you have a work-life balance when you've got so many plates spinning?
She doesn't.
Like,
it's hard.
That's why you've had January off.
Yeah. New Year's resolution, new year, new me. No, I am working on it, because the constant work, sleep, work, sleep, it's not worth it.
It's not healthy, is it?
It's not. And especially at the start when that TikTok video went viral. So imagine before that, the most orders I'd had in a week were three pots in a week. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do 3 pots in a week? Literally, I swear to God, I was just like, how the hell am I going to get 3 done in 1 week? Bear in mind, back then, if you're a customer that got one of those original like 24 pots before the viral video, man, I put so much like extra detailed effort into those. Not that I don't put loads of effort in now, but to the point where I was painting the design on the packaging boxes. So whatever design you ordered, I would also paint that on like the white postage boxes, and I'd write like a handwritten note on the inside.
That's so beautiful.
Like, it was a lot. Yeah. So in my head I was like, how am I going to do that for 3 in a week? And also, with those 3 in the week, I remember taking them to the post office, and then I got back home and I was like, I've put the wrong address on that.
Did you?
Yeah, I was 100% sure. I came back and I was just like, that one wasn't for Lindsay, or do you know what I mean? I came back and I was like, no. So I drove straight back to the post office, and I went to the window. I was like, I've given you the wrong box. And she was like, what? And I was like, please, can you go and get, like, I was just, because they were all hand painted as well, she knew exactly which ones I meant, so she like fished them out of the postage box and gave them back to me. And I took them home, I was like, yep, that was the wrong postage label. So I had to switch them across and then take them back to the post office. But imagine, so that was the stress I had when I had 3 in a week. And then a couple of days later, the video went viral, and I had about, within 24 hours, I had 150 orders.
That is stress-inducing just listening.
Yeah.
This wasn't,
makes me sweat.
This wasn't 150 pots either, because at that time I had like different deals with which you get, like you could get 3 in a pack or stuff like that, and there were custom orders. Like at that point, and all of it was custom.
Well, you weren't really expecting to get orders, so like you didn't have any tracked inventory. It was just kind of, yeah, that's there because I'm only getting maximum 3 a week, so it doesn't matter who's ordering it. But because you didn't have any kind of like inventory numbers,
limit or
I'd
anything.
be like, oh, you can do this and do that. So yeah, intense.
Well, yeah, because at this point it was all through Etsy, and I had a certain limit, so I had put like certain ones on there. But also when that video went viral, I was like, I don't know it was more, I don't know when or if this will ever happen to me again. So if I don't like kind of capitalise on this now and kind of just run with it, I didn't want to cap myself at like say 20 orders and then, you know, nothing after that. And I'm glad I didn't, because it's an incredible story that it's just like,
it is an
wow,
incredible
look at
story.
this.
It's crazy.
But then I had to shut my shop for 6 weeks after that day, and it was the 6 weeks before Christmas also. So there was the pressure of getting stuff out before Christmas, and I was painting them all. And at this point, when I first put them out there, I was just like, well, these are the designs I've got, but if you want them in different colours, then that's no problem. Or if you want like a custom design, like let me know. And I didn't charge extra for that. And when it went viral, I didn't have chance to update anything. It was still like those original prices. So it went viral at the kind of rock bottom starting stage. Because I'd only been doing the pots for about a month or 2 before that video.
So you mentioned before that when you got furloughed, that job didn't exist anymore. That's why you was put on furlough. So, and then you went back to working in the design agency. Was it an agency or design company? What would you class it as?
So my old job was an advertising agency. Yeah, when I got put on furlough, the job still did exist. I was under every impression that in 3 weeks' time I would be back. So that was creative assistant before. That was the one that I did for 2 years, but wasn't 100% sure how to describe it. It was a bit of design, bit of admin, bit of art buying and photography. I don't know. Lots of stuff.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Again.
A theme. And then every 3 weeks I would get another call saying your furlough's been extended. Extended. Until it got to the like October time. They were just like, actually, the board have come to the conclusion that job doesn't exist anymore. Which was a bit of a,
what does this mean?
Yeah, because I was just on furlough under the impression I'll just come back to work at some point whenever they need me, because as well in that role I did the social media, and they kind of decided we're not doing a lot of social media at the moment, and one by one, like every job they need me to do due to the pandemic wasn't needed, so that's why I got put on furlough. But then when I came back, because they did like me, like I was good at my job, so I came back then as an actual designer, and then that was more on client facing work, so I got to work with clients and pitch to clients and get that experience, which has been invaluable really. So then this year I kind of decided to myself that I do need a change. I've been in that place for 3 years, almost 3 years at this point. You know, I just felt like I needed something a bit different. I needed something a bit more challenging, and I felt like I needed a change because I was working in a certain industry and I'd not had any experience outside of that, basically.
And it weren't like a very creative, I don't know how to word it. It weren't like, you weren't able to get creative with it. It was like it was design, but it was very structured and to a very specific niche. Yeah, definitely. And as I said before, like I just love ideas, and I think I decided in my career I wanted to go more down the art direction route rather than pure design, which when I was then decided I'm going to apply for jobs now and see what happens. And again, I don't apply for jobs apply for me.
But this time you did apply for them.
But this time.
Remember you saying to me, I'm going to give them the opportunity to tell me no. She was like, I've never really given them an opportunity to tell me no. I've always said no myself. I'm like, oh no, they won't have me, so I'm not applying.
Yeah.
So, but now she's like, no, I wanted to switch.
Yeah, that's it. I completely just switched the narrative, because it was something I saw on TikTok that she was just like, you know what? Let them say no. Don't say no to yourself. And then I just took that and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll apply for the creative director role. Yeah, I'll apply for senior designer. I'll apply for these. And it was that mindset that did it. Those jobs I actually applied for and sent my CV off on LinkedIn, none of them got back to me. Not one. And the difference was then I'd opened myself up to actually wanting these opportunities and not restricting myself, because then I started getting messages from recruiters about different opportunities. And at one point I had 3 different job interview processes going on at the same time. And it was a bit mad, because as well, working a full-time job, working Fabstract, and now doing job applications and interviews, which when you work in the design industry, you often have to have a brief, and then create your response and then present back to them. It's an involved process, because you know, they need to know that they're choosing the right person, and as well you need to know that you're the right fit for them. And I think what made the difference with the company I ended up going for is when they made me an offer, they weren't the only ones. That wasn't my sole job at that point. I had like 3 different opportunities going on.
Wow.
And the way that they responded was, right, let's meet in person and let's go through your options and see if we're right for you. They didn't.
That's really good.
That was something that meant a lot to me and was quite different in that sense. Of they were just like, we're not gonna force you to work here.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I want to take time out of my day to actually see if this is the right opportunity for you, and give you all the information, and then you can make that decision as you will. By the time it actually came to that conversation, I'd already made the decision that it was right for me. But I still kind of waited until I met them in person to tell them that. Yeah, and I started there mid-November, I think. So I've been there a good couple of months now, and I really do love it. And
what is your job role there?
So I am a midweight conceptual designer, so it's like an art director designer hybrid, which again I can now do the ideas process.
That's so cool. So for anyone who isn't really aware of what art direction is, like what that role entails, do you want to sort of explain what it is you do day to day, and obviously with the design side as well?
So I was very unsure about this to start with as well. On a graphic design course, you're not taught about all these different creative roles. On that course, you're essentially everything. And then you come into the industry and you realise, oh, so that person writes the copy, that person does this, that person checks the artwork, and you realise you become more of a team than you ever were at uni. So I learned about art directors when I did the School of Thought course, and it's typical in an advertising agency really to have an art director and a copywriter team, and they will come up with like the original, like the initial concepts for what that end advertisement or campaign will be. So art direction as well, you have it in photography. It's basically the art director is how it looks and the copywriter is how it sounds.
Right.
So working together, you have this overall campaign.
It creates a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it works even better when you have like an art director that like kind of has a bit of knowledge of words and you know what I mean, when there is that crossover. So art direction is bringing ideas to life. How will they look? How can you get this story across visually? Which like that also crosses over into design. It's not like you're either an art director or a designer. It's I don't see it as that. People might disagree with me, I don't know. I only know from my experience. But I know the main difference with like design and art director is an art director will come up with the concept and then go, right, here's the idea, now you go and make it.
Right. Yeah. So they sort of like put your idea into
life,
like,
really.
They bring it to life,
which does require like conceptual thinking. It's not you can't be a designer without ideas, I don't think. Like you need to be able to see stuff visually and how it's going to work. But I think I like the whole process of like going from start, okay, here's the problem, how could we solve it? And then because I'm a bit of a hybrid art director designer, you can kind of take it all the way through.
Yeah, so you sort of see it from start to finish. Sort of thing.
And also I think I'm not the best designer in the world. I don't want to be. And I think I'm very of the opinion there is someone who can make this look better than I can. There is someone who can definitely bring this idea to life better than I could do it. I don't want to then gatekeep this idea that could be amazing because I want to see it through.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if I've gone off like what is it? Hypocrite. That's what I'm trying to say.
Everybody's a hypocrite.
Going against what I've just said. But
no, I don't think so.
I don't know. But I think I learned in my old agency that I really do like the ideas process, and that part of the job is really important to me, and that's what makes it feel less like work.
It sounds like an art director role is perfect for you. I feel like, as we've learned throughout this conversation, you're very good at the concept stuff and like coming up with those ideas and I think that's what amazing.
I love doing. And I've been told, like when I used to do like graduate portfolio reviews and stuff like that, I was always told like, oh no, I think you need to be an art director. And little snippets of that have happened quite a lot, like even in my job interviews when I was going through that process last year, I was going for designer positions because I was a designer, but even then they were saying, no, we think like, I think you're like an art director, like I think you're a trapped art director or something like that.
So how does it feel now that you're in that role? Does it feel like this was what I was meant to be doing the whole time?
I think so. I think there's like
Are you closer to that goal now with this?
Yeah, it's definitely in process now.
Yeah.
Like, I've only been there 2 months, so they're not going to go, oh right, here's the newbie, chuck her on the big things.
Yeah.
Like that's not how it works. And they have senior people in place that have been there for years that are incredible at it. That I'm just glad now that
to be learning off.
I'm around a lot of experienced people now that I can just absorb information from and take their learnings. And I think there's been kind of progress meetings and conversations, and I feel like I'm comfortable to express with them where I want to go, and they're very on board with it. I'm just like, yeah, that's going to be great. And it's nice to feel like I saw myself last year that this isn't what I want to do long term, and I was like, right, rather than sitting down being sad about it, do something about it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I'm now in the space that I've done something about it, and you know, reaping the rewards, I guess.
Yeah. So that anyone who's listening right now, if you're feeling stuck or you want to do something different with your life, go out and just do it. And reap the rewards. Yeah, just do it.
Just do it. And what I learned as well last year is that it's very much a candidate's market at the minute. As I was in the situation, it was me with 3 different job opportunities.
Yeah.
It's not more so the job has 3 different people. It's more your choice.
Wow.
So if you are like, there are the jobs out there, and also from my experience, don't just take the job that's like labelled design. Like the job I had first to get into the industry was creative assistant. It wasn't a pure design role. It had design elements, but I wouldn't be in the job I'm in now if I hadn't have started there. So also the kind of advice there is don't turn away an opportunity because it's not a junior designer role and you don't have that title, because you can also, like, once you're in, you're in. Unless I want to get out and do freelance, I feel like I could be in the industry for as long as I want to be.
Do you know what? I've really loved talking about all this with you. I feel like I've learned so much.
I know.
Because I said to Roxanne at the beginning, like before you got here, I was like, oh, when we had that conversation at your birthday, I feel like I know everything, like, because we like really talked in depth, and I found it all so interesting. I was like, I'm gonna have to, like, you know, pretend that I've heard it for the first time, but pretty much everything I've heard is the first time.
Wow.
I've learned so much. Yeah.
It's weird hearing you say that, because obviously, like, this is my life. I've just lived it, and I'll listen to stories from other people. I'm like, wow, how have you done that much by then. And
that's what we're like with you now.
yeah.
But then when it's yourself, you're like, oh, it's just my life. It's like, it's normal. But like for us,
but
I
everyone's
find it
normal's
really
different, isn't
interesting.
it?
Yeah.
So, one thing I wanted to ask you was, do you have any advice for anybody wanting to get into the industry or working for like a corporate business? Because there's a lot of information out there for how to go on freelance and stuff, but it seems to be kind of, well, from what I've found, every kind of tip and trick to get into the industry is always behind like a paywall.
Right.
There's nothing really accessible.
Yeah.
Obviously, what you're fresh in it, especially with this new job. So do you have any advice for anybody listening who does want to get into the corporate world?
So my advice is build your portfolio, for one. If you don't have real projects, make them up. Also, people really do love seeing the ideas process and the scamps, and when you present your work to people, explain how you got there. Don't just show your portfolio and be like, this is the end result. What they want to see is, oh, okay, this was the problem and this is how you approached it. And when you can even say like you tried stuff and they didn't work and this is how you got to it, because they're not hiring you on that finished product. They're hiring you for how you think, how you approach problems, how you design. So if you can go through that interview process and when you present work, explain how you got there, that will make a lot of difference. And as well, you can do it for projects that you made up, because you will need a strategy behind it. Like if your logo is a circle with a wave, why?
Yeah.
Like you always need a why as well as a designer, and I think anyone that is a designer will know that you need a why, or else what's the point in it? Like, you know.
Yeah, it's not just random.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've designed it that way for a reason, and you need to be able to show it. In terms of getting into the industry, as I said before, don't just turn away opportunities that aren't junior designer or whatever the job title is. Don't just go off that, because you can make jobs your own once you're in there. You kind of, like, as you said, once you're in, you're in. What else would I advise? So another thing I would say is definitely network like a mother trucker, because through Instagram, through going to events, through portfolio reviews, anything that you can see, go to it, because there's a lot of events. Like in Manchester, I know there's quite a few events for students to just show people in industry their work. I went to them as a graduate, and I also have been to them as an industry professional now, which is quite weird when you're on the other side.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool
nice.
that you've done that.
Yeah, it is nice. It's quite weird because they think I'm the one that's going to hire them, which is not the case. I can always give my advice from my point of view, but also on that point of networking. Now I've been in an agency, when jobs come up, quite a lot of times there is like a referral fee for that person. So if I recommend someone and then they get into the job and then they stay there for like, they pass their probation, I'll then get like a kind of monetary reward.
Oh, that's great.
Because it's cheaper to go through people in your company than hire external recruiters, for example.
Yeah, so I know someone, and she is a recruiter. That's what her job is to get other people jobs.
Yeah.
My sister does that as well. Yeah.
And she charges a fair bit to different companies and stuff.
Yeah.
So it can be expensive.
It can be thousands.
So, yeah, and
thousands
also,
and thousands.
you know, like if I'm recommending someone, I'm not going to recommend anyone, because I don't want to put my name to it if, you know, they're not any good. You're only going to recommend good people. So if you keep networking and you start to know different people, you show them their work and they think you're really good, when opportunities like that start to come up where, oh, there's a junior graphic designer position, I know they're looking for a job and they've just graduated. I've just seen their portfolio last week in that review. Maybe if I refer them, I'll get something out of it. They'll get something out of it. Yeah, just talk to people, basically. You know, I know it's difficult in current circumstances, but things are happening. Things are picking back up. And, yeah, connections will do you more good than anything else, I think.
Yeah, they can never be a bad thing.
I'm trying to drink up all this knowledge now and put it into my head. Because I don't know, like, we've had this conversation before about on our trip to IKEA.
Oh yeah.
We had a conversation about, I was saying that I think that I would like to do a stint in industry, like just to try it out. Like maybe we'll try and like obviously see what this year brings and stuff like that. And like if I am thinking, right, I want to try it now. I was asking you, I was like, I don't know how to do it because I have a first class degree in contemporary art, but that isn't what I do anymore. We spoke about it on our first podcast episode, where like I feel a bit like an outsider now, like looking in on these jobs that I would love to do, but I don't have the degrees to do it because I'm a contemporary artist. That's what my degree is. Yeah, it did have illustration elements, but it wasn't even an illustration degree. Everything that I've learned has been self-taught or things that I've kind of picked up along the way from different people like yourself. Like we've spoken about different, like Adobe software.
But really, everything
like
that I've learned, I've taught myself in that way. I've just got different words on a piece of paper.
Yeah. But for, if anybody is listening who's on the same boat as me, for someone like me, if I wanted to get into graphic design, would you advise me do a graphic design course? Would you advise me to do a master's in graphic design because I already have a contemporary art degree? What would you advise for me?
Personally, I found my degree super helpful. I loved it. As I said, I threw myself into it and I got out everything I think I could have squeezed out of it. I am of the opinion that I don't think you need a degree to do graphic design. I think if you've got the right mindset and you're willing to learn, there's YouTube, there's Skillshare, there's a hell of a lot out there that you can learn to design. As long, if you've got the eye for it, you've got the passion for it, you don't need a degree. So it's whether you want to do it, which you've got, so you're fine in that sense. And in terms of getting into the industry when you've kind of done something else, it's not as uncommon as you probably think it is.
Because I imagine people who are in the industry have kind of gone from uni, like they've done a graphic design course, they've done a marketing course, they've done something, and then they've kind of worked from the bottom up straight from there. But
remember that you've got experience because you're doing that freelance.
I know, but I can't remember who I had this conversation with. But I remember somebody telling me, somebody was like, yeah, in the industry, freelance doesn't count. Like, people don't class freelance work as work because it wasn't in industry.
I think that's silly. I don't think that's true.
I can't remember who told me that, but ever since then I'm thinking, oh my God, so then does that mean that I will need to go back to uni, or would I need to go back to something to what's obviously you coming from industry, from graphic design point of view, like what's your opinion on that?
In relation to that, I think if they're just solely focusing on how many years experience you've got in industry and that's it, then they're not the right company to work for because it's not progressive. And you've got to understand that people have different backgrounds, people have different experiences, transferable skills are massive, and I think it's about the person. Like, if you are capable of doing it, then you're going to be able to do it. It doesn't matter if you haven't done it before. And I think I've done that time and time again. And throughout uni, it's like I went through that whole thing of if I've not done it before, all the more reason to.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need. I hope when I'm in the position to employ people, I will go at it from a point of view that's just like, you know what, they really want to do it. They want to learn. They want to try. They haven't done it before. It doesn't mean they can't do it. And if you're going to work for places that only care about how many years you've done pure graphic design, then to me, I don't think...
That's a red flag to you.
To me, it is, yeah. I think, as I said, like, everyone's different, but I think the more progressive companies that are going to last the test of time are the ones that can look at an individual person and go, you know what, they can change, and they can change with the company. They're not stuck in their ways. They will want to evolve just like we want this company to evolve. So again, I think going back to that whole point of don't say no, what's stopping you from applying for a position as a graphic designer? If someone says, oh no, you've not got enough experience, okay, I don't want to work for you. You've got to put yourself out there and decide if you want to do it, you can do it because you know that you can design.
Yeah, she definitely can.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Let
you
me
know
tell
you've got
you.
the experience.
Do that every time.
Cheerleader over here.
Let me tell you. If you've got the portfolio, as I said before, if you haven't got the enough stuff in there, or if there's certain stuff that you want to do, make it up. If you really want to design for a jewellery brand, you don't need to wait for a jewellery brand to approach you to do it. You've just got to decide your priority is getting a jewellery brand in your portfolio, and you are going to have to dedicate time to it. You might then not be able to watch Netflix for a couple of hours. That's the trade-off. But if that's what's important to you, then you need to dedicate time to it. And then when you go and have interviews, which if this is what you want to do, you will get the interviews, you will get to show your process, and then they'll get to understand you and see if you're the right fit for them, if they're the right fit for you and you're the right fit for them. Yeah. It's a two-way street as well. I feel like that's important to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. You shouldn't just take like any job because it might not be right for you.
No, because as well, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because if it's not right for you, then, you know, it's going to be bad for the both. Well, it won't work out for the both of you, because in 3 months' time, you're going to want something else, and then they're going to have to rehire. So it might sound like at the time, oh, well, a job's better than no job. And I am kind of contradicting myself a little bit, because I said don't just go for the ones that are purely your title. But
yeah, but you don't want to go for, if you get like a bad vibe, or you're not really sure about the person that interviewed you, and maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they were a bit sexist. You know what I mean? Like,
red flag.
Yeah, if there's any red flags.
Don't ignore the red flags.
Yeah, don't ignore the red flags, yeah.
I would say that it's more, if you get a good vibe from them, you'll know in the interview what the people are like that are interviewing you. Mm-hmm. And a question that I always ask at the end of any interview I've done is to them, do you enjoy your job? Because it's a question that, you know, they get to the end of the interview and they're just like, oh, do you have any questions for us? And usually it's a bit of an awkward thing unless you've prepared a question in advance. People are just like, oh no, it's all right.
I feel like you should always ask a question, because that makes you seem like you're really interested in the job. And
absolutely.
And what's their response to that question usually?
Well, this is the thing. This is what catches them off guard, because in an interview situation, you don't expect them to ask you if you enjoy your job, so they can't lie. And if they do lie, you can tell. Yeah. And I think what's been...
caught them off guard.
Exactly. Yeah. And what's been nice about the jobs that I've had is the response to that question has always been like, yeah, I really do. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, there's been challenging times, there's been late nights, and I'm not going to gloss over that. But
sets
overall...
a precedent for what to expect, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And I've decided that, you know, you work a lot of your life, like a lot of, I mean, especially for me, you work a lot of time, so you need to enjoy it. And
because it's your life at the end of the day.
Yeah, so there's another tip. Always ask at the end of your interview, ask them, do you enjoy your job?
I love that. That is a very good tip. I would never have thought of that.
I wouldn't have either.
No.
Where did you come up with that? Did you just decide? Well, you come up with a lot of good ideas, so it doesn't surprise me.
It links back to values, doesn't it, and what you stand by. And it's just like, I've always said I want to enjoy my job, because I spend way too much of my time working, and it's not worth it. So
yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing ever, not enjoying your job. The worst. I always feel like it's the people as well that make a job. Like, I feel like you could have the worst job ever, but if the people around you are really amazing, it really makes it.
Yeah, that's why I stuck at the Lowry Theatre, because the people that I worked with were great. Like, did I actually want to spend most of my time polishing cutlery? Not really.
All right, so I think we've got like a very good understanding of who you are, what you do, how you got there. We hope that you have enjoyed it. I did want to wrap up with one final question. And that is, what are 5 things you wish you knew sooner?
Right. So I think I've pretty much summarised everything throughout the episode. But I would say the first thing is, don't say no to yourself. Let other people say no. I'd always go progress over perfection, so you don't get stuck. You know, getting better is the goal, not getting it perfect. I'm still learning that one. I love that.
Yeah. I need to tell myself that every day.
Yeah. My third thing, burnout is not worth it. Working every hour of every day and sleeping for a little bit. Sleep is important. That's a sub part of that point. Yeah, burnout is not worth it. You know, do it tomorrow.
Yeah, do it tomorrow.
My fourth thing I wish I knew sooner. I think the fourth thing would be that, you know, the path isn't always straightforward. You don't know where it's going to go. I wouldn't have thought doing Camp America would lead me to getting a design job in Leeds. When you look at all the different components, it doesn't make sense, but, you know, it makes your story and it makes it unique. And I think the fifth thing would just be the importance of taking a break.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning that now. Like, that one is, I definitely do wish I'd learnt it sooner, because I've actually I'm reading a lot into like productivity and, you know, all of those workbooks, whatever. But they do say staring at a screen for 5 hours straight, you probably get the same amount done if you took a 2-hour break and then did it for 3 hours, because you get that time to refocus and you're not just like solely like, oh God, like we've all been there where you're staring at your screen and you're just like, I have no idea what's next.
Yeah.
And I was just too guilty of going, okay, well, if I sit here a bit longer, then it'll come to me. Or, you know, as I said, if I take time away from it, that's time I could be doing it, and it's a waste of time. And I think that's what I wish I knew sooner, is that taking breaks is not a waste of time. It's actually a lot more of a productive use of your time than you think it would be. So yeah, that's my little wrap up.
I love that.
I love it.
I've really enjoyed this episode, you know. Obviously, Sophie's our first guest.
Yeah.
She's being our little guinea pig. But I hope you have enjoyed it. We will put all of our links in the description, or the show note, of whether you are listening on a podcast streaming platform or if you're watching on the YouTubes. Do we ever say YouTube properly? I feel like we always go YouTubes.
See, I've never called it YouTubes until you did, and I think it's quite cute, so I've just carried
watching on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
This is fulfilling all of like my 13-year-old YouTuber dream.
Like, have you felt in front of the camera?
If I had just vlogged when I was 13, where could I be now?
I think that. But we're starting now, and it'll be fine. But yeah, no, I hope you've enjoyed it, and tune in next week for another episode.
Do you know what's really funny? Next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday.
So we always say see you next Tuesday.
I know.
And we said it for the first time in the first episode at the end, and we went, I didn't realise what that said, but now we just own it. So
excellent. Well, thank you for having me. It's been lovely.
Enjoyed it.
So really quickly, do you want to say, just in case
anyone's going
to listen to the next episode and miss it, where can we find you?
Right, so I am on predominantly Instagram and TikTok as Fabstract UK. I'm sure that you'll add a link.
I will add links.
Yeah, we will.
Follow me. I've got a website as well, www.
That was really prepared. That was like a voiceover style.
Fabstract.uk. And
nice.
hopefully there'll be something on there and I'll have made my big comeback by then.
Yeah, so it'll be mid-Feb this, won't it?
Yeah.
Maybe the 13th, possibly.
I'm
not 100%, but yeah. Mid-February.
Cool. Well, I look forward to listening to it, and if anyone has come over from Fabstract, thank you very much. I hope you've learnt a little bit more about me if you didn't know a lot from me rambling on my stories. Anyway.
Yeah, no, Soph's stories on Fabstract are just chaotic. It's like, hey guys, look at this, so great, and then the next story will be like, oh my god. She's very real. But yeah, no, I think we should wrap this up now. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And as I've mentioned, all the links will be in the description or the show notes. And we will see you next week for another episode of the Do It For Yourself podcast with FOXANNE and Laura Francis Heitzman. See you next Tuesday.